maybe getting a little clearer on what this idea is so you can be even 5% or 10% more intentional about keeping those two things separate.
Hi, my name is Gabriella Dennery, MD for DocWorking, the Whole Physician podcast, and I'm joined today with co-lead master coach Jill Farmer. And today we're going to talk about what is called contaminated time. And so, Jill, this is something that you talk about a lot, and it's a term that I think, from what I understand, is actually fairly recent in kind of the time stress management field. What is contaminated time? And then the next question is, well, what can someone do about it?
Yeah, exactly. I first learned about this term, contaminated time, from Bridget Schulte, who is a New York Times bestselling author and former Pulitzer Prize winning journalist, somebody I know and like a lot. In her book, Overwhelmed, from a few years ago, she, I think, coined the term contaminated time. And it was referring simply to this idea that often when we're at work, our time is contaminated by worries and thoughts and energy and attention and focus going to things outside of work that sort of disrupt our workflow. And then also when we are outside of work, living our life at home or wherever we are outside of work, that often that time is contaminated by worries, thoughts, disruptions of things happening at work. And productivity experts tell us that Europeans particularly tend to be better at uncontaminated time, where when you're at work, you're at work. And when you're at home, you're at home. And that even though we might think, well, they're just not working as much or thinking through things, actually their productivity is higher. And so that this idea of often letting those two things of work and home get intermingled with each other doesn't always serve us particularly well. That doesn't mean you're supposed to have these perfect blocks of robot-like living where I never think about anything to do with home or my kids or life at work, or the opposite. It's just maybe getting a little clearer on what this idea is so you can be even 5% or 10% more intentional about keeping those two things separate. To your second question, what do we do about it? Understanding the concept of contaminated time, I think, is just really helpful. It's like, oh yeah, there's my brain going off, worrying about losing focus. I got to restart again. So understanding that concept is number one. And then number two, for me, is just if I'm doing work and my mind's off, then jumping ahead, thinking about something going on with my parents' health or my kids or this argument I had with a neighbor or whatever else it is, I ask myself, okay, do I need to write down a task, an idea, anything down right now so I can deal with this later when I'm not working? And if I do, I just grab my phone, the notes section of my phone, or a little notebook I keep in my purse, and I write it down. And then I give myself permission to come back to the present moment. Same thing if I'm enjoying time with my family in the evenings, or I'm taking a walk or doing something else, and my mind starts to shift to work stuff and my energy and time and focus gets lost. I grab that same little notebook and a note section of my phone and say, is there a task or an idea that I want to capture or hold on to later when I'm working? And then I kind of take a deep breath and allow myself to let it go. So those are the definition of contaminated time in two ways that I play with it. What do you think of when you hear all that stuff about it? More after this message from DocWorking Thrive. We have something really exciting at DocWorking that we want to tell you about. It's called the DocWorking Thrive subscription membership. And it's almost a little bit like burnout insurance. If you don't need that, you just want another way to know how to thrive, this is it. This subscription includes weekly video tips delivered straight to your inbox, exciting small monthly group coaching sessions where you actually have access to be coached by one of our top coaches at DocWorking. You get access to virtual courses, including STAT, Quick Wins to Get Your Life Back, a leadership course called A New Era of Physician Leadership, and another course called Communication for the Win. All of these courses are delivered virtually, so you can do it on your own time and with your own schedule. And you also will have access to 24/7 private Thrive Physician Facebook community. All of these different features come to you as part of the subscription. It's an incredible value. We are so excited for this community. Don't wait. Go right now to docworking.com to find out how you can sign up for the DocWorking Thrive subscription membership.
Well, it brings to mind a good friend of mine who was a professional social worker working actively, very busy family life, very busy work life, who said that, what I do to decontaminate, if you will, is to, on her autoresponder, she says very clearly, I do not respond to emails on Saturdays or Sundays. I don't look at social media on Saturdays and Sundays. And so she did carve out a specific time and a specific schedule and a specific strategy, really, to really stop the leaking between work and home, or, oh, let me catch up on an email here. I'm falling a little behind. Oh, I'm just going to do an hour. I'm just going to do 20 minutes, whatever. As you said, it's not just the time or the action or the activity, it's a thought. And the thought that takes us away from the here and now, focusing on time with family, for example, focusing on time with friends, focusing on listening to a good piece of music. If I have my earplugs in my ear and I'm dancing to something, next thing you know, I have a work-related thought pop in my head. It kind of takes away from the joy. So let me not do that to myself. In the meantime, as you said, it's not rigid, it's not robotic, but it's conscious, it's deliberate. It's something that you have to plan. You have to put in there saying, okay, I'm going to unplug literally and get into the habit of unplugging and creating that space for myself where I'm not contaminating my time. Is that what you find? That it takes a little time to get used to get into that habit of saying, nope, this time is specifically for this thing and nothing else.
I think it does. And, we wail and gnash our teeth at this electronic world we live in and having access to emails in our pocket at all times on our phone and all those kinds of things. And I don't find it particularly helpful to, again, wail and gnash my teeth at the reality. And that reality means I do need to take some different steps, as you said, and create some boundaries. Don't have to be rigid walls and, where you're a warrior off to war against it, but it's just intention. Oh yeah, I'm going to be intentional. I love that about my time off work and communicating that I don't respond to emails and that you can't just expect to reach out to me and talk work stuff 24/7 when we're outside of that boundary. That's beautiful. Being intentional about the leaking, as you said, and understanding contaminated time, and then giving ourselves just a little bit of a pressure release valve so that we don't have to think, oh, I don't want to forget that tomorrow, or I want to remember that later. Just jot it down, have a safe little container of someplace to jot it down, hold on to it, and then it feels more free to be back in the present moment. Because that's really what we're inviting you to do with this idea, is to come back to the present moment, because that's where you can be at your most peaceful and productive at the same time. Thanks all of you for joining in and listening to us. We love having you here. Tell your friends about us. Until next time, I'm Jill Farmer on DocWorking, the Whole Physician Podcast.
This is Amanda Taryn. I'm the producer of DocWorking, the Whole Physician Podcast. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and thank you for listening.